Hey guys, Desolator Magic here, and WOTC in their band announcement today decided to just pat themselves on the back for how amazingly genius and brave to add another year to Standard for some reason. Now, we all know the real reason is because they wanted to retain people on Arena. A lot of people were getting really fed up with the ongoing costs, the daily grind, the really annoying decks that you just keep getting put up against over and over and over. The fact that the Shuffler, the Go First system, the entirety of Brawl, the opening hand, and the land draws were all rigged. And what they really just need was a push. Now, a really big push is, oh crap, 75% of my decks don't work anymore because we just lost half the cards. Hey, you want to keep playing? Get out your credit card. Oh, you're out of singles? You're also out of decks. You literally, day one, cannot play the game anymore unless you're drafting or getting out your credit card. So that wouldn't have looked good on some already bad Hasbro quarterlies and year-end reports, so they decided to extend it. I mean, that had to have been what it was, in my opinion. I don't have, direct proof of that, but come on. So they're passing it off as the greatest idea ever that saved Standard and blah, 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 whatever, and yeah, no. So I made a list of all the problems that they introduced and how badly they shot themselves in the foot by being incredibly short-sighted. Number one, too much complexity. If there's 3 years worth of cards instead of 2, then I have to learn 50% more mechanics on average. It doesn't quite work that way because sometimes they reuse old mechanics and sometimes they come up with a whole bunch of new ones. But I don't know if there's ever been a Standard set that doesn't introduce a brand new mechanic, actually. So now, just to learn how to play Standard Constructed, you have to learn more mechanics. Now, you can learn a mechanic probably in just a couple seconds if you've been playing as long as I have, and most of you have. But try to teach somebody new to the game all of this. It's already really confusing, the phases, the rules, and the card interactions, and why don't you have to tap to block? Everybody's heard that one. Now you have to explain all this and how all this stuff works. So number two, if I go to build a deck, I now have to consider upwards of, eventually, 50% more cards. I don't like that. The one thing that stresses me out about building in a turtle format deck like Commander is I have to look through, I believe we hit 54,000 unique cards lately. So, not really because some of them were just vanilla filler crap, but every card ever printed that's powerful and unique, I have to consider that when it comes to what to build. It just takes so long and I only got so many hours in the day. I enjoy deck building, but I don't enjoy this just decision paralysis almost of just stuff I have to consider. So the last thing I wanted was that in Standard. And that leads us to problem number 3. Okay, I need a rare or a mythic because duh, and it was printed 2.5 years ago, and they're not printing any more of it. How am I going to get my hands on that? There might quite literally not be enough to go around. Otherwise, if there is, and even if there isn't, the price is going to be outrageous. You could see, $20 rares just because they're over 2 years old and who still has them floating around? What if you can't even find packs to open to get that card anymore? Which obviously opening packs is a terrible way to do that. But all the single sellers will be out of something and then you all need it for Standard. 2.5, 2.7 years, that is a long gap. Problem number 4, power diffusion. So you've got this crazy new powerful card that's unique, interesting, not going, way too far, but just you might want to play with it. You might want to build a deck around it. Is it competitive? Is it one worth going in your deck? Well, you look at all the cards in Standard and you say, oh no, this is a better version of it. Oh no, I want to go this direction with it instead. This is good, but it's not quite good enough because I've got something better to choose from. So that means if you drop a powerful, competitive, potentially well-selling card into a pool of, we'll just say 2,000 cards versus 3,000 cards, well then it's competition. You can only put so many cards in your deck and it's, 4 of and 60, duh. So what if you find a better card, a better strategy, a better whatever? Well, that means that every single time they release a set, it is going to sell worse. From their standpoint, from a business standpoint, that should have been number one. The number one concern was now every set has to compete against 15 sets instead of 10, I think is what it is now. I don't know. They aren't really sticking to a proper release schedule. But yeah, you look at a powerful rare, you look at a powerful mythic, and you think, okay, what else though? What does this have to go up against when I am considering what to put in my deck and what to buy? And once you know it, Murders at Karlov Manor was the worst set that we've seen in probably 10 years. I'm hearing rumors that it is performing worse by some metrics than the absolute unequivocal loser, March of the Machines Aftermath. Now, there is kind of a part B to this where it's I want to play generally the mechanics from this new set. Like, the new Cowboy set, Thunder Junction coming up. Oh, I really want to play that. I want to play, this type of archetype. It looks really cool. Okay, well, what are the just sheer, everything else being equal probability that those mechanics are competitive compared to everything else in the standard pool? 50% lower is the correct answer. I mean, this isn't a complicated math problem. Might as well just name my channel Vsauce 4 at this point. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. So, problem 4B, I'll just call it 5 because it is kind of separate, is what if a set looks really fun to play but you can't because it's an insufficient power level compared to everything else in the meta? Well, then I guess you aren't playing it. So, I guess, hope you like drafting. Problem number 6, and this is a two-parter. Okay, 1, they wanted people to keep and be able to play their decks longer is what they said. Well, that's going to lower sales then, isn't it? If you can keep a deck longer, you're going to buy less deck boxes, less sleeves, unless you recycle them. You're going to buy less everything on Arena. And then part 2 is actually that's all a complete lie, and every time a new set comes out, you might have to still rebuild your deck the way it always was. Right after rotation, you build a deck, what are the odds you're going to be able to play that for the next 2.5 years? I would say 0. It is so unbelievably low, them lying to you and saying that you can play your decks longer is a load of crap. Now, playing rare lands longer, okay, but they haven't had a valuable rare land in a while. It's all been $2, $3, $4 stuff in reprints, okay? So they could only print really, really competitive in other format rare lands so many times. And then they have to come up with something else. So lands have been pretty affordable. When they made this decision, lands were not affordable. Or I should say when they made the first decision to not shorten standard. If you haven't heard about that, yeah, that was the thing. Right when they changed how blocks work and how sets are released, it was extremely logical and fitting for them to go to like a 1.5 year rotation instead of 2, and then everybody threw a fit because I want to run my lands. Well, if we could all not run our lands evenly, then we're good. And like I said, they've run out of ideas for lands, and they've been printing really second and third rate stuff, which I'm fine with in standard. But it's worthless. So yeah, they are absolutely lying to people's faces when they say you can play your deck longer. Maybe some individual cards, but not your deck. Certainly not your deck. Now, mono black, you can play that forever. Mono white, life gain, enchantment archetype, boy, you can get some mileage out of that. My candy cane deck, which is just double strike boost, beat them on turn 3. Yeah, I think I've been playing that for about 2 rotations, actually. So you might get lucky, but I could name all kinds of other stuff that I had to stop playing because it was no longer competitive, because something else came out, because the pool got bigger, because newer, more powerful cards came out. Problem number, I think we're on 8. I never take notes. I really should. No matter what it comes out to, I'm making this a top 10 list. I'm putting it in the title because people click on it. I don't know why. Oh well. So another problem is that a 3-year standard is not very conducive to also upping the number of standard legal sets in a year. Because that just multiplies the problem. For terrifically obvious reasons, you're already upping the number of sets that are legal at a time, and then on top of it, you up the number of sets that are legal at a time even more. Number 9, and if this was in order, it would be number 1. There is no player on the face of the earth that doesn't have a card that they are so sick of playing against that they can't wait for it to rotate out, and God knows at this point it's not going to get banned. Liliana, Phyrexian Obliterator, the White Obliterator, Haughty Djinn, Arcane Bombardment, Urabrask's Forge. I don't want to play against any of this trash. Now, I don't just have to wait a year or 2, I have to wait potentially 3 full years to get this crap flushed out of standard, and by that time we'll have more cards that I cannot stand playing against. This is so beyond unacceptable. It was the worst, number 1, by far, worst thing to happen from them extending standard. In my own research and polling, that's the number 1 reason that people left standard, is because they just, certain deck archetypes, but really individual cards in the deck, or both, they just are this is going to be in standard for another 1.5 years. I can't do that. I can't play against this. I'm just not going to. I'm not having fun. I'm not enjoying myself. Every time I go up against this, I'm pissed off. I either forfeit and take a loss, D-rank, and waste my time, or I play against it, and why? Why would I purposely do something I don't enjoy doing in my leisure time where I'm relaxing and playing a game? You've actually got to be kidding me. This is why WOTC needs to stop listening to tournament people, competitive people, pro Magic players. They don't know what fun is. They don't know anything other than card balance and numbers and math because they don't care. All they care about is winning. All they care about is money. They aren't playing for enjoyment. They don't care. They don't care how annoying and toxic their deck is. If it's 1% more likely to win, they're going to play it. They don't care if their opponent's having fun. None of that. And that is who WOTC listens to constantly on Twitter. That is who they talk to at conventions. That's who they talk to at tournaments. It is so unbelievably clueless of them to think that that's the reality. And now that they've driven everybody else away, that's who they got left. That's the entirety of their community is net decking douchebags. So there you go. Enjoy your pile of garbage community, you dumpster fire of a company. And finally, number 10, everybody saw it for what it was. They try and they think they can get away with it, lying to their community, lying in the announcements, pissing on your leg and tell you it's raining, when we all damn well know rain ain't that temperature. Everybody immediately said, oh, so this is to just not get everybody to quit Arena at once. This is so people don't realize that they completely and utterly sunk their money into something they cannot liquidate. They can't sell off their cards at the end of a rotation. The reasonings that they stated in that article were so terrible that I don't even remember what they were. It was just such vapid, thinly veiled lies, and everybody knew what they were really doing and what they were really making the decision for, and it was money. So this has been your top 10-ish with rounding reasons that WOTC never should have expanded Standard to 3 years. The real question is, what are they going to do this time around? Because we're coming right up on it. By the way, follow up on my rant accusing them of absolutely lying. I took a poll. 390 votes. Now, this is just my community, obviously, but go try and convince any other channel that's very neutral or very positive on Magic, everything's peachy, everything's fine, those types of channels, to run the exact same poll. Because I think they'd be curious in the results. I'm curious in what the difference in the results are, but I think they'd be interested in what comes up as the answer. So the question was, for FNM at my LGS, it currently is ... 1, don't have an LGS, which is 35%, so just take that number right out. 1, we'll go low to high. 5% currently runs standard constructed for FNM. 5%. 5 to 10 years ago, you would not find an LGS that wasn't running standard constructed for FNM. I've never even heard of that. The couple times somebody said, actually, mine doesn't do that because nobody wants to play standard in my area, I was like, how does that even exist? Now, second to last, we've got never ran standard at 14%. Now, keep in mind, people have been hating standard for 4 to 5 years. So anybody who's only been playing for 4 to 5 years, that would be their reality. Not everybody's been playing for 10 years, and 10 years ago, yeah, people are going nuts over RTR and some other good sets that came out right up until about Origins. So that number's a little misleading, but still 14%, okay. 16% said still runs standard, but added another format due to demand. So people are like, I'm just not interested in standard anymore. Can we do something else? I'm just sick of this. And they're like, well, people want to still play standard, but okay, we'll also add this. We'll add a draft. You can actually draft for FNM. You can do whatever you want now, technically. A lot of people doing Commander FNM, which is rough because then you're probably still giving away the prizes that you get for being a WPN network store. Yes, Wizards play network store is what I just said, whatever. And if there's prizes on the line, Commander's going to get real competitive real quick. You're going to swap out 5 more cards because you get a little bit of an edge, and then it becomes an arms race. Doesn't usually stay a gentlemanly format unless you know and are friends with everybody else, and in that point, why even play in a store? Honestly. If you want to support the store, okay, cool, but come on. So coming into 4th place, used to run standard constructed, now does a completely other format. That is 31%. And keep in mind, I don't have an LGS was 35. So adjusted, that's about 50%. Just short of it. So actually adjusted, it's about 8% still run standard, and that's it, like the way it used to be back in the good old days. And then 92% do not. Partially do not anymore, or completely do not. Those add up to 92%. So them saying that standard is more popular than ever. Look at our tickets. Look at this lie of a statistic where we compared it to COVID. Wow. Nah, dude, nobody's playing standard. Unless, now the other thing that I forgot to mention was if they consider standard, quote unquote, to be drafting a standard set, which is literally not standard, but I feel like they might have thrown it in there. So there it is. Leave a like if you like some good information, some good insight, and some good intel on what's going on. I've been in the Magic scene forever, since all the way back in 2013 to 2014. Okay, I've been playing less than, I think, almost every other MTG YouTuber I know of, but 10 years is still a while. It feels like it's been a long time. So yeah, if you enjoy Old Man Des and his crazy Magic stories about the good old days, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.